Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today I'm going to be talking about Twitter and the value of Twitter. So in 2016, I work in the information technology field, and so I definitely keep abreast of all the major changes within the IT technology field. And so Twitter has been around for a long time, and I have watched Twitter from the beginning, and it is an absolutely fascinating platform. So one of the things that's really amazing about Twitter is it has become a huge property, and the entire point of this video is to talk about its value. And logically, a lot of people would think that it had significant value, but we're going to get to the value in a minute. I want to talk a little bit about Twitter itself. So Twitter is really interesting platform, based on entering into information 144 characters at a time. I know the site does more now, but that's its bread and butter. And one of the things I've learned a lot from Twitter, because one of the things that was really fascinating about Twitter is Twitter, if you're in information technology and you're paying attention, you absolutely need to know about Twitter. It's absolutely critical to learning how to build software. So Twitter is notorious for the fail whale. People might not know the fail whale today, but the fail whale is a symbol that Twitter would put up on their website whenever their service was down, right? And so basically, if their servers were overrun by too much, use, or they were making changes and those changes failed, then Twitter would put up, a notice that would say they would put up a little cute cartoon of a fail whale. And it was really very interesting, the fail whale. And the reason why is the fail whale was up a lot in the early years of Twitter, and I would see it frequently, and other users would see it frequently, and it didn't stop anybody. Everybody kept coming back and using Twitter, even though it was frequently breaking, right? And what Twitter found out in the beginning was that if you have an amazing product and you are doing something that no one else has done, that you can go fast and you can actually have a lot of failure within your product if your product is interesting enough or unique enough, right? And so in IT, there's this concept of fail fast, which is make a mistake, make a failure, and then correct that failure as quickly as you possibly can, right? Excuse me. So Twitter has that concept within it, right? And so that's there, and it's a big deal. Like Agile has implemented fail fast. A lot of software today is built around the fail fast model, right? Now there's a lot of things like A/B testing and things that are done to make this a little more less jarring to the user. So, but Twitter has a history, and it's also fallen into a particular structure. So one, a lot of people debate this on who uses Twitter and who doesn't. So one, in my opinion, I don't think millennials use Twitter very much, right? The people who really like Twitter are writers and the media. The media absolutely loves Twitter, right? And and also the other thing it's become is a supplement. Right, so nobody really uses Twitter exclusively. People just kind of supplement other social media feeds with it, right? So let's get to the meat of this video, the value of Twitter. So one of the things that's absolutely fascinating to me is the value of Twitter. Last year in 2016, Twitter tried to sell its company, right? People were like, "Hey, Twitter has never made a lot of money. It's never been highly profitable. They've always had an incredible difficult time finding a profit center," right? So last year they said, hey, we're a world-known brand. When news breaks, that's another thing. News absolutely breaks on Twitter. It absolutely breaks on Twitter. I can't tell you how many different times that I've seen things come out on Twitter and people are talking and nobody knows what's happening, and then 4 hours later, the regular news sites will say, what Twitter said 4 hours ago was absolutely right? It doesn't always happen that way. Sometimes it's a little off, but generally news breaks on Twitter. It's another reason why it is valuable, right? So last year, Twitter, the company, said, "Hey, we want to sell, right? We've never been able to turn a profit on this, but we've built a global brand name, right? And that is of value today. I don't care, that is absolutely rock solid valuable, right? So the question was, what was Twitter worth? $1 billion? $5 billion? It was a big question, right? Well, everybody started buzzing, right? So all these different companies started talking. So Microsoft was considering buying Twitter, and there was quite a few other billionaires that started buzzing around Twitter to consider buying Twitter, and no one did. No one bought Twitter, right? Now, there were reasons for this. One of the reasons why no one bought Twitter is there is a part of Twitter that is absolutely terrible, right? And that is, it has some of the most toxic, horrendous content on the internet in text, right? So there's an amazing amount of trolling. There's an amazing amount of death threats, and they have some hardcore, noxious, horrible users on there. And they need to determine, what are the algorithms for how do you shut down speech, for this guy, but, and then not shut down speech for this person when they're saying something that's similar, but within the boundaries of etiquette. It's so hard to say, right? And so this is one of the reasons why Microsoft and other companies decided, and other billionaires decided, if I buy Twitter, I have this content problem. I have to figure out how do I deal with all this terrible, horrible content where, there's people that are, saying terrible things to groups that are traditionally oppressed or traditionally minority groups. It was a whole big thing, so it's kind of amazing. So no one pulled the trigger. No one bought Twitter. Now it is 2017 and the ball game has changed dramatically, right? So there's a huge question of what is the value of Twitter today, right? And the reason why is for the next 4 years, Twitter is going to be incredibly important. It is important in the lives of most Americans today. Who would have thought that today Twitter would have the power it has now? So what has happened is right now there is one particular person, a powerful person, who is demonstrating that you can use Twitter to change the story that the media will talk about. And there was a period where this was being debated on whether this was how Twitter was being used. Those days are weeks past, months past, and without a doubt, it has been shown, demonstrated with rock-solid clarity that Twitter can be an incredibly powerful tool to point the media in the direction you want the media to point. Not every site, but many sites, and often most sites, and companies, and magazines, and websites. If something happens at 10 p.m. and everybody knows what's gonna be the story at 7 a.m. when the Good Morning America and all the news shows go on, you could tweet. If you're a powerful person, if you have many followers, you can tweet at 4 a.m. and you can change what the websites, what the magazines, what the newspapers, what the television shows will talk about, or at least the way they will talk about it. Or you can inject content into what they were going to talk about. And the media as a whole, which is that conglomerate, the newspapers, magazines, websites, television shows, web shows, podcasts, all of that. That's what I mean when I say the media can absolutely be controlled by Twitter. No one knew this. People knew that. No one knew this. People knew that Twitter could be useful, but no one knew that Twitter had the power it had when used in the particular way it's being used. And so it's just fascinating to me that the value of Twitter last year was really, people were passing up buying Twitter at a $5 billion valuation. Now the ball game is completely changed, right? And so you have Twitter as this massively powerful rudder. Like, it's like the rudder on a boat. It can turn the media. So Twitter can be used to turn the media. And this is absolutely fascinating. Like, it's just, no one knew that this was going to be the way it was going to be. And so the reason I'm talking about this today is, one, it's just shocking to me how quickly the world can change. How all the information could be in front of everybody and still no one can see it, you know? And so it's really, really interesting. And I'm really curious what those talks look like today. You know, what is going to happen with Twitter now? Is it worth 10 billion? Is Twitter not going to sell? All these are huge questions, right? And so really, really fascinating change in the value of Twitter. Take care, everybody.